Yes, sir. We appreciate you guys for checking us out on Friday, Friday after Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day for everyone out there. And we had a lot of stuff come up in the last few weeks that I'm pretty excited to get into and discuss. We had the Super Bowl. We had the first ever, I don't know if you guys knew this, the first ever Madden millionaire of all time, Mr. Henry. We're going to be discussing that. And always there's going to be a little bit of tangents. We like to kind of go off the cuff and whatever, comes up, we're going to discuss. But we're going to try to always keep some kind of structure going. And also, we have some pretty big news. I don't know if you guys knew this, but college football. First, there was rumors that was going to come out 5 years ago, 3 years ago. EA Sports, it seems like they are putting in a lot of effort into this game because I feel, obviously, anything with EA Sports, I'm going to be kind of skeptical given their track record of things. When a game like this comes out and they're taking their time with it, because I almost feel like if it was just going to be a reskin of Madden, they would just drop it. They'd put Ultimate Team and say, "Here you go," and then they could just start making money that way. So I'm definitely hopeful that with the extended time that it took to get this game started, that we'll have some good gameplay into it. So a lot of stuff to get into. So Mr. Shane Gayu 11, how have you been lately? And did you have a good Valentine's Day? Did you do anything special, or was it just whatever? What?
Mine, Valentine's Day was good. Hopefully yours was too. It was chill. I think we watched a couple TV shows and just chilled out with the kids and stuff. It was pretty cool. Other than that, I've been just chilling, Trey, trying to grind on Madden.
Yes, sir. Shane's been definitely on his grind. He was streaming a little bit earlier today in the crew versus crew tournament. Definitely going to expand on that. But Shane, for those of you that don't know, because we obviously know that the whole crew versus crew, it's real kind of a niche fan base. The general public, when you say crew, they don't really have a deep understanding of what it means. So if you could please explain to the people what exactly, in your eyes, is a crew in Madden, and what was the whole, I guess, idea of this crew versus crew tournament.
So basically, like a crew is where you get together, you practice with a bunch of people, and you represent a team name or whatever. How you do it, like we're a UMC, and obviously we have a solid crew, and so we basically were able to sign up with Mutthead. It's a free for all, so anybody who has a crew or wants to represent in a crew gets to do it. And the thing is basically it's a free for all, and there's a lot of elite crews out there from WD to EMB to all those top crews that you can picture. You basically will be able to see and play, and it's a good learning experience. And there's some okay crews in there, and then there's some cool crews that are really good and they're actually decent people. So for me, it's really cool. Just to witness our crew expanding and trying to get better. You're gonna take some licks as you try to expand your knowledge and expand your gameplay, and that's where I'm looking for as the crew in this crew versus crew tournament. Because I mean, there's belt winners in here and all that stuff. So it's an elite crew, first crew tournament.
Yes, sir. So it seems like, Mutthead, they have like you said, this is the more elite of tournaments, and I obviously know they got the Friday night football going on, and I mean, we talk about this all the time about how, Mutthead, they'll have, Friday night football, and I don't really want to bash Friday night football because at the end of the day, it's something, I think they do have a good team over there, and they try to promote competitive Madden. So do you think that with this crew versus crew tournament that they kind of opened up the more, not like, the people that are way up there at like the top 1%, do you think it was more open in terms of, regular people that could compete in it?
Honestly, yes. I think they did a fantastic job of allowing everyone in because honestly, I wanted to do Friday night football, but obviously my my skill set isn't what they're looking for at this time. Obviously, I was before before they got big or whatever. However you want to take it, before they got big, I was bigger, and now I'm not as big. Where that's who gets invited, but I'm slowly trying to work there, if that makes sense, and trying to get to be able to be featured on Friday Night Football. I did hear something really cool though, Trey. I forgot to tell you, but it just happened today. Um, so they are thinking about hosting a 30 and over tournament. So that's something to look forward to on my head.
All right. Well, that works out for Shane because Shane hasn't been under 30 in about 20 years, so
Whoa,
that would
chill,
definitely
chill.
work out for you now. But no, that is awesome. That there definitely seems to be more opening up, and then obviously, when you have more people getting involved in these tournaments, that I feel like that's going to get to a point to where it's going to upset the top 1%. They're going to be like, why are you allowing all these bots and people who run bubblegum in these tournaments? So I guess we'll see how long that lasts for. So yeah, the Mudhead tournament. So obviously, it didn't really go well for you, but it was still, a good thing to kind of get in there and get the UMC brand out there. So overall, it's a good thing. But do you know who actually won the tournament and who were some of the big names that were in it? Were
Wesley was in there. Uh, Goose, Yardstick, Joker, Kale. I mean, probably every big name that you could think of besides Henry. I think Kiv was in there. I believe actually Rage won it tonight, and Joker got second. But I mean, this is legit, like legit, Trey. Like this whole thing is about as legit as you could ask for.
Yeah, it's definitely sounding legit. Hoping that, they can take the momentum of this tournament and drive it forward. I mean, we're talking about crew versus crew tournaments. And, there's a whole lot of modes out there. I mean, we got mud squads, we got the yard out there. So, I mean, there's a lot of, I feel like, I mean, I haven't played mud squads or the yard or any of that in a while, but it just seems like, you have these modes that you put in that's not really getting a whole lot of love. So, hopefully with the whole Mudhead thing, they are able to expand on that and we'll see some more of that whole team, crew versus crew style tournament. Um, so, Shane, you just brought up Henry, so I wanted to get, obviously he won He ended up beating Wesley, formerly known as Joe Rice back in the day. So what is your takeaways from the whole, I guess, well, since we're kind of at the end of the whole competitive season, how do you think it was ran overall? And, what is do you think that Henry's probably the greatest of all time at this point?
I mean, right now you just have to say that, he is the best. Like, he is the best player out there in the world. He is the GOAT. Like, you can't take anything away from him. And, like, yes, like we have talked about, like, like, I mean, I even saw it in the Discord today, like, oh, I can't believe some of these crews are even allowed in here. Like, it's like the first day of LCQ or whatever, the MCS tournament, and it's so weak and blah blah blah. So these people some of these people are like kind of being dicks, but like, you know, he really he ran the meta, but he runs the meta the best, and people can only wish to be, as good as him. So for me, I mean, you can't take anything away from Henry. He is the GOAT. He is the best player of all time. Will there be somebody down, 20 years, 10 years from now who all of a sudden starts winning all the time? Probably. I really think there will be eventually somebody who, starts winning again. But, like, at the same time, I think, I just think that he is in a league of his own. Like, I think that people are going to really, really struggle against him for a while. I think he's going to win a couple more championships. And yeah, I think flat out, Trey, I think he is by far the best player we have ever seen at this current time. There is no more debate of, is it Problem? Is it Skimbo? No, it is definitely, definitely, definitely Henry by a long margin now.
Yeah, I would feel the same way about it. Obviously, people are gonna still say, oh, problems that go this and that, and I mean, I think that what Problem did was smart because, his limited amount of success that he's had in the MCS era, I think I would give the majority of the credit to Young Kiv and Drini and the other people that were kind of in the circle that kind of helped him have success in that era, which is kind of smart by him, though. So I think I definitely have to give credit to him because, I could kind of imagine, like, the older people that were like Problem probably looked down at, the young guys like Young Kim and Drini. They probably were too egotistical and say, what are these young people over here going to teach me about Madden? So I think for that, I give credit to Problem, but I mean, making $1 million in Madden is nuts. And I just think it's going to be interesting to see where the future of gaming and Madden goes. Is he going to be able to play Madden when he's like, I mean, he's still young now. I don't know his age exactly, but when he starts getting up there in age and he starts having, responsibilities, kids, wife, and all that, how's that going to affect his playing? So I do think there's going to be some new blood that will take over soon. Well, not soon, but later down the road. But as of right now, it is definitely Henry. So, all right, let's get to our next topic. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. We have the Kyle Shanahan San Francisco 49ers against Andy Reid Chiefs. My synopsis of the game is that I thought that the San Francisco defense got after Mahomes often and early. I knew that Chase Young and Nick Bosa were two big components that had to be felt for them to be in this game, and I felt like they did a good job at keeping Mahomes in the pocket early in the game. And But I think overall, I think the 49ers kind of let the Chiefs hang around too much. And it's not even because there was a whole narrative about, Kansas, about how San Francisco abandoned the run game, but I feel like that's a false narrative in my opinion. It kind of reminded me of the movie The Sandlot when the Beast comes out and you have this whole chase scene. The kid's trying to get away from the big dog. He's throwing all these obstacles in his way, trying to avoid him, but in the end, he overcomes it and he gets him. Only this time, the Beast is the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were able to attack Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy that with play calling and all that we're going to get into soon. But before we get into that, I guess, Shane, what's your general synopsis of the Super Bowl?
I kind of feel the same way as you. The Kansas City Chiefs were kind of locked down. Mahomes was not playing good at all. I would actually, I know the MVP went to Mahomes. He was definitely clutch at the end. My whole thing is if it wasn't for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Kansas City special teams, the Kansas City would have been losing probably honestly like 20-6 after 3. Does Mahomes lead Magic down 14 in the fourth? Maybe. Maybe not. The problem is 49ers defense was rolling until that fumble happened. And then once that fumble happened, it was a whole different, it was a whole different ball game. So for me, it's like I would give more credit to the Kansas City's defense and special teams that kept them in the game. But that's where honestly that's where I'm at. I'm a little surprised on the OT call. I would have kicked the ball off first if I was San Fran. So I think Shanahan screwed up in OT.
Yeah, so that is definitely the biggest controversy of this whole Super Bowl. And then obviously, I didn't mention this prior, but obviously Greenlaw going out with that injury early on, I think that definitely impacted the game as well. So, but yeah, the overtime call, I'm with you. I said this early on, and I mean, and then there was a report that came out that said, they didn't really know what the rule was, this and that. But, my whole problem is that when you go to overtime, I mean, the ref's right there at the 50-yard line explaining to you what the rule is. So, I mean, if you can't pay attention to the little things in the Super Bowl, there might be a problem there if you just kind of zone out when they're explaining to you what the rule is. So I mean, do you think that they were aware of what the rule is, or do you think that it was like the analytics guys? Because I think that's what Shanahan said. He said that he kind of listened to the nerds on that one. So do you think that they knew what the rule was?
I think I think that some knew the rules and some didn't. I think that I think some are making excuses, and I think here's why I really think that Shanahan decided to take the ball first is because if I believe KC controlled the whole clock in the fourth quarter and even had that last drive for the game tying field goal where they went down to like the 5 or 6 yard line, and I think that his team was tired, his defense was tired, and he was afraid that Mahomes and the offense for the KC would go down and get 7, and then it'd be all on Purdy to go get 7 right back. So that's where I am, at least where it is. But like for me, it's like I don't know. It's a messed up calls in my opinion.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I can't really. I mean, and I understand. You know, you have the defense that's just came off of a long drive, so I understand the whole fatigue. I would be able to like if that was the reason. You're thinking, hey, my defense, they're tired. They just came off of a long drive. I can accept that. What I can accept and what would irritate me is that if they were leaving that decision up to the people that are behind the computer, giving them statistics. Like, we've already had discussions about the whole analytics and all that. I think that it's good for the game overall, but when it comes down to it, I still think you have to be a coach, and momentum is a real thing, and all the little stuff that plays into it. And I didn't even like, I think there was the last drive where they tied it up or they took the lead. It was like they were down by 3, and it was like they were in field goal range. It was like 4th and inches, and they went for it. And I did not like that play call. Well, the decision to go for it there. I think you definitely have to tie the game up. I mean, it worked out. That decision worked out for them. Unfortunately, the whole that the overtime decision didn't work out for them. So I think my biggest thing is like, okay, if I'm San Francisco, I'm kicking it to Mahomes, and I'm bringing the whole kitchen sink. I might just come out a field goal block and say I'm sending like 9 or 10 people at Mahomes because if you kick the ball away and they can't win the game no matter what happens. So you can just play balls to the wall, try to force a turnover and get all that because if they score, you're gonna have to put a drive anyway. So yeah, I didn't understand that decision. But so where would you did you think that it was a good game overall? I mean, how would you rank this Super Bowl in terms of some of the greatest Super Bowls that you watched?
I mean, it ended up being a classic in my opinion. Like it was a little boring for a little bit, but it wasn't horrible. Like I like defense, but I thought it was one of the best Super Bowls I've watched in the last probably like 15 years, and it was super exciting at the end. Like it was really fun to watch, and I believe that it'll go up there as one of the Super Bowls to remember.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was definitely a slow burn. Definitely one of those games, and I feel like we haven't had a Super Bowl blowout in a while, but I feel like we're kind of due for one earlier. I mean, the Tampa Bay Kansas City one, that was kind of a blowout, but nothing like how it used to be. So where is so Mahomes? He's won 3 Super Bowls. His playoff record is insane at this point. I mean, you know how it is. We live in a what have you done for me lately world. People have recency bias. So as someone, because you're a little bit older than me, I don't know about the quarterbacks that you got to watch, Joe Montana, Steve Young, all them guys. So from someone who's a little bit older and got to see some of the older quarterbacks play, where would you put Mahomes? Is he in the conversation? With 3 Super Bowls now.
I mean, he definitely has to be in the conversation. It's a whole different ball game. Like in the 80s and 90s, Joe Montana wide receivers could get held, they could get grabbed, they could get all kinds of stuff. They could be thrown all around, and it would be like, oh well, you know what I mean? Like you have to break free. But see, at the same time now, there was no salary cap for Joe Montana, so he had almost all the best players. and all the best players wanted to go play, in San Fran, in Dallas, and in all that spots. That's why they did the whole salary cap is so that it'd be closer Super Bowls, right? There'd be closer Super Bowls. There'd be all kinds of stuff. So it wouldn't be as boring, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like it wouldn't be as boring. It would be, it'd be a lot of fun still to reducing the salary cap made Super Bowls more watchable, is what I'll say. But now, where do I put Mahomes? Like, I think he has a great team. I think he's a Hall of Fame QB. But like at the same time, it's pretty wild to look at because he has 3 Super Bowl rings out of 4, right? So he's 3-1 in the Super Bowl. That's tremendous. Like I have seen people being like, he's better than Brady. He's just as good as Brady now. That's honestly, and this is from a guy who wasn't a big Brady guy. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of Brady. I'm just being honest. He's whatever to me as a player. Like in the sense of like, do I like him? Do I not like him? Um, But I mean, to try to say that he's near Brady is really rude to the game of the NFL, and it's really rude to somebody like Brady. So I decided, like, yo, let me go look at the stats. I mean, dude's numbers are not even this like they're not even in the same realm. I'm actually surprised, honestly, that people are really comparing Brady and Mahomes yet because like so in the Super Bowl, right? Brady is 21 touchdowns and 6 picks. That is almost 4-1. Almost 4-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Trey, get this. Mahomes is at 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. So in 4 Super Bowls, he's averaging under 2 touchdowns a game and over a pick a game. I mean, in an offensive era where you can't check people, you can't grab them, you can't do this. Like I don't know, his numbers kind of suck in the Super Bowl. So, but I guess in the end it doesn't matter. It works out for what it is.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, and I've seen like I didn't even think like because I watch this guy on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever watched Last Chance U, but there was a coach on there that was pretty controversial. He has a podcast now, but he's kind of known as being kind of like a Mahomes hater and all that. And, he would always say it's like, yeah, people already say that you know Mahomes is better than Brady, but I never really thought I thought that that was exaggerated. Um, but after this, I've seen a few people say that, and I guess it's fine. But I mean, the explanations that I got for why is kind of wild. Like, people are saying like, oh well, Mahomes doesn't have any cheating scandals, and I'm like, okay, well if we're gonna say that two controversies for Tom Brady, one he wasn't really directly involved in, and the other was blown out of proportion. I mean, if we're going to use that as stains on his legacy, then on the flip side, I could say, okay, well, on the home side, I'm going to throw your brother in there, and I'm going to throw your dad. I'm going to throw your dad in there if you're going to, put those things against Brady. I mean, let's keep the same energy there for that one. But
Agreed.
so on the flip side, where does Andy Reid sit with you now? Like, do you think he's close to Belichick? Because they're kind of similar. I think you could honestly make that. I feel like there's a real argument to be made for Andy Reid being in the GOAT conversation at this point.
Again, it's really hard. Is he one of the best coaches out there? Hell yeah, he's got 3 Super Bowls. But so I think Bill Walsh has like 3 or 4 Super Bowls. But see, Bill Walsh had an unlimited salary cap. So how much would Reed have with an unlimited salary cap? I personally, and like I know you're a Patriots fan, and I'm a Seahawks fan. I personally think the Seahawks beat the Patriots if there was no salary cap. I don't even think it would have came down to the interception at the 1 yard line or any of that. I think really they would have been able to re-sign Walter Thurmond, and he would have played for Thorold Simon, who got picked on by Tom Brady for the 2 touchdown passes. It's really hard to do because pre pre salary cap, how would it read done? He probably would have 5 Super Bowls. Pete Carroll might have had 3 or 4. But right now it is what it is. I think I would, without looking at the numbers, I'd say Andy Reid's top 5 for sure. For sure, top 5, and then I'd have to go off of like looking at the rest of the stats.
Yeah, for sure. So my next question to you, obviously you're a Seahawks fan. You know, you play San Francisco twice a year, every year. So, and I'm kind of interested to hear your take on this because you kind of know of the whole situation better than a Patriots fan would. So, Brock Purdy, you know, he comes in, he's Mr. Irrelevant, and he gets the whole game manager narrative. So I want to know from your perspective, do you think he had a good game in the Super Bowl, and do you think that he could be he has the potential to be a good quarterback moving forward? I mean, what's your overall thoughts on Mr. Glock Purdy?
I I personally think that they made him game manage the Super Bowl and played it safe. As wild as like Kyle Shanahan is a offensive genius, I think he played it safe, and I think they had Purdy be a game manager. I really do. I think he's a good QB. But I also know that Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid both make the jobs easier on the QB, right? Like, it'd have been interesting to see like a Russell Wilson with Andy Reid when Russell Wilson, was young. Would he have been awesome? Would he have sucked worse without Pete Carroll? Or would he have looked really, really good with Andy Reid? And I think he would have looked really, really good with Andy Reid. I think he would have put up big numbers, even bigger than the ones he did with Pete Carroll. But that's not anything against Pete Carroll either. They're just two different types of coaches, kind of like Kyle Shanahan. He's 0-2 in the Super Bowl, 0-3 overall in the Super Bowl. Excuse me, he's 0-2 as a head coach, 0-3 overall in the Super Bowl, and it's been because of mistakes and blown leads with him at the helm. And I think it's also because he gets a little tight. And here, I'll say this: when they lost Atlanta versus New England, and I believe he was the OC, he played it too aggressive. If he would have been conservative like me, I would have won the Super Bowl once they got the lead. I think he overcompensated for that after that Super Bowl and played it extremely safe. That's where I believe he messed up this last Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely crazy to think about. Yeah, because I could kind of see. I mean, yeah, when you get a big lead, and it's kind of it's kind of funny. He was the OC against Brady, and now he's with Mahomes. That's pretty nuts. But yeah, I think there has to be some kind of balance, which is probably. I mean, it's easier for me to, sit back and say yeah, but there's got to be a balance of saying, hey, this is when we got to come out. We got to put our foot on their throats and not let off the gas at all. But in some situations, obviously the Atlanta game, when you're up 8 in field goal range with less than 5 minutes left, yeah, probably you want to kind of let off the gas a little bit, just a little bit. But yeah, I know that's crazy. And one thing that I wanted to say about the Super Bowl is, for all the the controversy that surrounded it with the whole Taylor Swift and the script and Kadarius Toney, I was going into it thinking that there's going to be a controversial call that went down that was going to aid the Chiefs, but it didn't happen. Obviously you're always going to have those people on Twitter that'll dissect and nitpick every single play, but overall I don't think there was too many controversial calls that swung the game one way or another, so I give props to the NFL on that one. This is kind of, we're talking about Brock Purdy, but I don't know if you heard this. The former quarterback for the 49ers, Mr. Jimmy Garoppolo, just got popped with performance enhancers. So, how do you think that it's over for Garoppolo at this point?
I think that's the norm for when people get hurt because I believe he got hurt, right? I mean, I think he got hurt. I'm not entirely sure. I believe he got hurt, and I think that's what they do, and they get caught and hope to bounce back. And if they don't bounce back, then it's what it is, and people move on, and they end up retiring. Like for me, it's like he's getting older. I don't think he was ever a great QB. Like I'm gonna just be honest. I don't think he was ever a great QB. I think he was like whatever. So I think he'll probably be done.
All right, gotcha. All right, so this is gonna be a two-parter. What did you think of the halftime show, and what did you what was your favorite Super Bowl commercials? I definitely wasn't expecting to see a swastika symbol in a commercial in 2023, so I felt that was kind of out of pocket, but what did you think about the halftime show, and what was your favorite commercial from this year's Super Bowl?
Look, as an old person, I loved Usher. I thought Usher killed it. Like I really, really loved it. Like I thought he was awesome. The songs were amazing. I thought he did a great job. And people were like, "Did you see how much he was sweating? That's kind of gross." And I'm just like, "Damn, that's because he was really performing." You know what I mean? He was actually dancing. He was actually singing. He was actually trying to, doing an amazing job. And like, he looks great for the age of like 50 or 45 or whatever he is. Um, my favorite commercial. Man, I'm struggling on this one. I did like it where they had like I believe it was like Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Tom Brady and a couple others. I think that was right
Yes,
where they had
yeah,
the
that
coats
was the
on.
that was the Dunkin' Donuts commercial. What did you think? I don't know if you watched. Did you watch Friends at all? The whole Jennifer Aniston, the Uber Eats commercial, or
Oh yeah. I used to watch Friends. And they have David Schwimmer on there too, right? The guy Ross or whatever. I missed that one. I think it was like muted or something. I think somebody accidentally muted it or muted the TV during the commercial. So I saw it playing, but I didn't get to watch it or hear it. I should say.
yeah, for sure. So I guess so when you have a Super Bowl, are you a big Super Bowl party kind of guy, and does it differ from when the Seahawks are playing to where it's just two random teams playing? Like when the Seahawks are playing, you have to have everyone out of there. I'm kind of that way when it comes to the Patriots, but if it's just with any other team, I'm like, yeah, you can have a party, this and that. So, are you a big Super Bowl party kind of guy?
I was. I'm actually pretty lucky and blessed, honestly, that like all this, the whole Super Bowl basically is just like my brother and my parents. And like I said, my parents are getting up there in age, so I'm blessed that like we get to get together for that in the Super Bowl. And everybody's a Seahawk fan, so I mean that definitely helps. I mean, way more stressed, way more like gagging when the Super Bowl is with the Seattle Seahawks. But when it's a Super Bowl like KC and San Fran, yeah, I wanted KC more. You know how my feelings are with the 49ers. Just like I know your feelings with with KC, but nah, man, I just like ate a bunch of food. I'm not gonna lie, I ate a bunch of food. I drank a lot of Diet Coke, and I just had fun. It was chill. It was relaxed. It was totally. I'll be honest, totally different than if the Seattle Seahawks were playing.
Yeah, for sure, and it's kind of crazy, as a Patriots fan because, we were kind of screwed either way, either Mahomes is gonna, go back to back like the Patriots did, or I think San Francisco would have tied us at however many Super Bowls or something like that, But I gotta be honest, and I think I texted you this when they were playing Buffalo, I was rooting for Kansas City, like because I get the whole record, but I think for us current, like if you're playing someone from our division, I'm like, yeah, you got to beat those guys. So, yeah, I do feel sorry for Buffalo fans though. I got to watch the 30 for 30 about the 4 times they went to the Super Bowl and they lost all 4. I mean that was pretty crazy to see for sure.
Bro,
So
I lived through that. I
yeah.
lived through that. I felt horrible for him. And yes, I was super, super young. What's up, Rose? You're good. You're good. We always appreciate you showing up. No, that Super Bowl thing was probably. I mean, can you imagine as a Buffalo fan, or like, let's say you're as a New England fan, we'll use that, or a Seahawks fan, and you go 4 straight years and don't win one Super Bowl? Like, I'd want to throw up all over. Like, that'd be the worst feeling in the world. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was horrible for him.
Yeah, definitely. So, so who do you think? This is kind of backtrack a little bit because we were talking about Joe Montana quarterbacks, this and that. So from like who were some quarterbacks? I mean, it doesn't have to be just one; it can be a couple. But who are some quarterbacks that you got to grow up watching, or even in this current era, who are some quarterbacks that you feel like are underrated and that didn't really get the notoriety and that they deserved, in your opinion?
Oh, that's a definitely good one. McNair was a little underrated, but he didn't win a Super Bowl. He was definitely a little underrated during the time I was young. Um, let's see who would Kurt Warner. I mean, but people love Kurt Warner. I mean, it's really hard. Like for me, it's like Steve McNair, right? Or Jake Delhomme, I believe his name, the Carolina Panthers QB. But they ended up not winning. A McNabb was a little underrated during the time. So for me, it's like those are a lot of underrated QBs that didn't get that much love until maybe afterwards. Um, so for me, it's like it is what it is, and it's crazy because all I know now in my head is Brady, Mahomes, and like Peyton Manning. I think those are the main ones that have won in the last like 15, 16 years. Yes, Rose, tell me about the meme. That is wild. But yeah, that's where I am on that, Trey.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so did you get to see Troy Aikman and John Elway play, or was that a little bit before your time?
Oh, I mean, yes. No, you are right. I did get to see them play. Troy Aikman was whatever. See, I thought Troy Aikman was overrated. I thought Troy Aikman was overrated. Like I thought Jim Kelly was way better as a QB. I thought Dan Marino was way better as a QB. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at. Also, Rose would like me to tell you about the iconic Bill Sander the time I had a clip yelling Buffalo all the way this time. So the clip is a meme now. Buffalo all the way this time. That's what she wanted me to tell you.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll see. The AFC East is kind of terrible. That's why, like when DJ come in, shout out to DJ. He's a fellow UMC member, and he's a Patriots fan, and I don't really know him that well, but he came in, and there's a few Patriots fans I've seen that have, the thing that, oh, we don't have a bad team, we just have a bad record, and it's like, no, we're pretty bad, like, like we have a lot of holes. We're in a rebuilding stage, and it is what it is, and then you have the Bills who are probably gonna run the division and probably choke in the playoffs again. And then you have the Jets that are on the rise up. You got Miami. That's probably going to be good. So there's really no weaknesses in the AFC East right now. So it'll be interesting to see the future of that. So I got a question for Rose as we get into our next topic. Rose, what is your thoughts on the college football game? So it's been quite of a long ride. They confirmed that we're going to be getting a college football game, and it seems like it's going to be a way they dropped the teaser. Classic EA Sports fashion. They didn't show any gameplay. They just dropped it, said, hey, we're doing this. Any other game company that would have did that probably wouldn't work out for them. Just saying, if you're going to tease a product out, I think it's probably a good thing to show a little bit of the product, but what do I know, right? I didn't go to college, so obviously I don't know anything. So, but anyway, Shane, what is your opinion? Because I'm gonna kind of go off on a little tangent on this. So I guess what's your general opinion on the whole college football game?
I'm kind of like where Rose is. Rose just said it's EA. It's about the money. College game now because money, and I kind of agree with it. Like honestly, like if they make tournaments, right? If they make tournaments from the college aspect, like rep your college, rep this, all it's going to do is bring the pros from Madden down to college, and they're just going to play both of them. And so for me, it's like, it is what it is. I'm here to have fun. It'll be a little cool thing, but I mean, I, I don't, I don't know. Like for me, it's like, I just think that it's gonna be kind of like Madden, just in a college outfit. Rose said clearly fans have been hammering for a college game, and the fact everyone is concerned about college rewrapping Madden with college uniforms, and that's kind of like where I am on that, Trey. So I'm interested to hear you. I want to hear you go on the tangent, my man.
All right, so here's my tangent. So I'm 26 years old, going to be 27 in about a month. So I've been playing games, grew up in the PS2 era, NFL 2K5, NFL Fever 2002 for the original Xbox was the first football game that I played. I've played all these football games back when there was an Ultimate Team, back when it was just, you had the franchise mode and you had, all this cool stuff, and there was like probably like 4 or 5 different football games out. Not only did you have, the simulation football games, but you had the NFL Streets, which is more arcade, like no pads or nothing. You had those games. So I say all this to say this because I've seen a lot of people say, if they do Ultimate Team and they put all their emphasis into Ultimate Team, I'm not going to play it. And I think people need to realize is that the gaming industry has changed. When a video game like Grand Theft Auto 5, that game made three it made like $3 billion its first 3 days coming out. GTA 5 came out over a decade ago. They just now released the trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6, and it's still going to be another 3 years before we even sniff that one. And so the whole online microtransactions, it's like a water fountain. You turn the water fountain on, money just comes out. And so the gaming industry has changed, and people say like, oh, well, they should just go bad because it's the right thing to do. Well, unfortunately, the right thing to do doesn't pay the bills, and it's not, if this industry is going to do this and they're going to do everything bad, like, why should they, you know, be the good people in the situation? So that's my main thing about the whole college football game. I just think that this is the way video games are. But I think that you do have some optimism I talked about earlier in the broadcast. But I would say definitely go on when it first comes out. It's probably going to be the best time in probably about a year or two. It's probably going to be a reskin of Madden after that time because the money will start rolling in. So yeah, that's pretty much the point I wanted to get across on the whole college football game is that microtransactions, they're not going away, and that's how games are now. And, if you want to play a retro game, you can go on, which is a rip-off. I mean, if I've tried to get like, PS2, and that's just as big as a rip-off as these microtransactions are, if I'm being honest. And it's funny because I commented that, and some guy said, "Oh, well, you get something for your PC, and it could play it." I'm like, "So you want me to spend $1,000 on a PC so I can play a game that was made in 2003? That seems like a reasonable investment to me. I'm definitely going to be doing that." So yeah, but Shane, what did you think of that whole tangent? Do you think that I was right, or do you agree mostly with?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, bro. Like, I definitely am in your shoes on that. Rose definitely wanted to add stuff. She said they might do a specific tournament like some of those Huddle GG Twitch streamers where they have to be active students at a college in order to register, which that is true, but like people like Noah and I believe Goat Geezy, I think they are active college students. So they'd probably mop up the scene anyways. But yeah, it's all going to be about money, and it's not going to go anywhere. Like you said, it's always going to be here, and it's just going to get worse until people stop buying it. But I don't think anybody's going to stop buying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So so yeah, I'm excited about it. Don't get me wrong, and I'm excited for the 2K video game. But I guess the main thing is that I feel like people, they should be excited, but I just feel like they should be excited because it's something different, not like, like the days of going back and, you play this game and then you shelve it and move on to the next thing. That's dead. That's all the way dead. No one's going to play a game and play the 12-hour story mode and then shelve it and move on to the next thing. That's not the industry anymore. So I hate to burst your bubble on that one. So on the subject of college, I'm going to ask you a controversial question, Shane. What is your whole take on college athletes getting paid and the whole NIL deals and all that? Do you think that they should be getting the money that they're making, or do you think it's a little bit too much at this young of age for them?
Okay, that is a real good question. Rose wanted me to finish up the joke. The Titanic was definitely an inside job at EA for their market to do a college football game. So there's that. That's what she wanted me to tell you as well. You know, I'm. It's getting a little too much. Like at first, I was cool with kids getting paid because like the universities are making a buttload of money. But now it's getting to the point where like the big schools are going to prosper and the little schools are going to struggle even more. I think they need to have like a set amount and just leave it that way. That's where I'm at on it. Like the NIL is going to possibly kill a lot of things in college college athletics because it definitely changed. Like people leave more now. They go elsewhere. They get paid off to go elsewhere. So for me, it's like I don't know. It's really tough. Like it's getting a little overboard for me because they're getting free college as well. So I don't know where you're fitting in on this and like what you feel as well, Trey. But I think it's getting a little, a little overdone.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really follow the whole college athletics, the NIL thing, so I can't really speak about it. I do think that it should be a cap on it, but I'm all for, athletes getting paid, and I think you are too to a certain extent. Like, Johnny Manziel, who, you know, he got he reaped what he sowed, so to speak, but I was watching a documentary about him on Netflix, and the fact that when he was in college and they were saying that his jersey, which he wasn't even playing or he wasn't able to sell, the school sold his jersey and they made a ridiculous amount of money. And you're gonna come back and say that he can't collect on any of the money. I just think that part of it to me is ridiculous. And I'm sorry that there's a difference between a college football player and a track player in college. Like there's a difference there. Let's just say how it is. Yeah, that's kind of my whole opinion about it.
Okay,
Um,
so Trey,
so
can you hear
yeah,
me? Can you hear me?
go ahead.
Um, Rose said they also are starting to opt out of the draft because they can actually take a pay cut leaving college for the NFL. So yes, no tradition. If you don't mind sharing my opinion with Trey, and that is also a very good point. Um, Anybody like you guys watched the Fab Five documentary? It was about the Michigan Wolverines in the early '90s, and I remember them. Okay, they changed a lot, and they basically explained how like a few of them were broke as hell and they had to scrounge pennies basically in quarters to get Taco Bell. But then they'd go and see their shoe, their socks, their whole style making a plethora of money for the university, and they just couldn't see why. I think if they make like I don't know, like tiers, I think that would make a difference. Like a Reggie Bush, because he was hella famous in college. Make it a tier, right? Make him get paid like I don't know 50, 60K a year, and then a guy who's a step below 30K, and for a person who's okay and just decent but not a household name, 10K. Like they're getting free college at the same time, but I also don't think they shouldn't get paid either. So like I'm a little bit in the middle if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense for sure. Um, it's definitely not an issue that can be easily solved. Excuse me, but it's going to be an ongoing issue, and I just think that there needs to be a balance, and because I think you're right in saying it's a little bit too much, and especially when you're young, making all this money. But I also understand that when you're an athlete and you have a very most people they have a very limited amount of time to be able to capitalize off of their abilities, and it can be even quicker when you take in injuries and other stuff like that. So I'm all for, athletes getting paid and getting their money, but there obviously is, needs to be a balance in between as well. So I
Um,
guess with all that being said, so Shane, what do you have any updates for us as far as the patches go? I don't believe we've seen any patches on Madden, after the Super Bowl and all that. So do you think they're kind of slowing down on the patches, so to speak? And do you see a patch coming anytime soon?
good question, Trey. I will answer that right after I get done. Rose said the biggest argument about the jerseys is, yeah, the main argument is like a trust fund account where the NCAA would deposit a percentage based off of revenue into account. Student athlete couldn't gain that access until they leave college or major in a degree if they aren't a future pro. I mean, that would definitely be something to look into as well on that. That's not a bad idea. I haven't heard anything about anything for patch notes. Honestly, like I said before, I think the last podcast is I know that I was kind of they do use patch notes after like around the Super Bowl and after to see how it fits for the next Madden. So that's basically where I am. I do think that it'll happen in maybe like a month. There will be one, and it'll be a little weird, and people will be like, "Why are we doing this?" But there will be a point why they're doing it, if that makes sense, Trey.
Yeah, for sure. So they're not going to be just throwing in random patches just for the hell of it. It's going to definitely serve a purpose the next time that they do, in fact, do a patch, which definitely I don't think we're done with patches. I think we're going to see a couple of them before we get into Madden 25. And for those of you that are curious, there already is a Madden that's called 25 that came out in 14, so there's not a Madden 14, it's Madden 25, but they're still going to be calling it Madden 25, at least from what I've researched. They're still going to call it Madden 25, which is kind of a bit of a letdown if you ask me. I was hoping they would have named it something. So,
Are they
but
really?
really,
They're not
yeah, they're not
changing it at
changing it at
all.
all. Not from what I because I researched it, and it's the consensus that I got was that they're not going to change it. So,
That's kind of dumb.
but yeah, we're definitely tuned into the podcast. We're going to be breaking down. I mean, it's way too early to start talking Madden 24, but honestly, not really, because if you think about it, we're only about 4 or 5 months out before we start getting into the beta and the whole how that thing starts. So I'm excited to be bringing you guys coverage on the Madden 25 2.0 when that comes out. And Madden, is Ultimate Team it's ridiculous at this point. I mean, honestly, what are we doing at this point? I load up into Ultimate Team, three freaking dudes are lighting up at the beginning of the game. I freaking sacked the dude. I sacked the dude's quarterback, and he still lit up. Like honest to God, what are we doing with the excuse me with this whole pre-lit X Factors 3 to a game, and they stay lit the entire game. You can't get them to come out at all. It's just ridiculous on that. So that's my whole rant about the state of Madden that we are currently in. But Shane got you 11. He probably doesn't have those issues because he has a squad on him, but I don't. So
Yo, I mean, just now, bro. Like, just I think probably what in the last few days. Um, Rose did say, "Quit ranting, Trey, about the outdated Madden. Start telling us about the new Madden. Can I spend microtransactions too?" Oh, I'm joking. Average mutt sweat. I mean, that is fucking true. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said it before, and I've said it. I'll say it again. If I had the money, I'm gonna make my team the best team in the game, and then I have no excuses but myself to get better. And no trade the right before I updated the team for like the main update for the crew versus crew, like I was getting pre-lit to death as well. Besides when I had Calvin Johnson, so that was like the main one. I actually turned them off, and I'm not going to use them because honestly, they kind of hindered me in the sense of crew versus crew does not let pre-lit, Mutthead does not let pre-lit, and tons of tournaments don't let pre-lit. So it was kind of hindering me that like, oh, I see one-on-one coverage and you're pressing me with Calvin Johnson, and I hike and throw it up, and I'd catch it. Where now I drop it more. Like, I mean, and it's kind of like I'm in between on that because like the deep KOs are OP, and so Calvin Johnson not having the one-on-one aggressive catch, he gets it batted out more. So like. It is tough, but the whole freaking problem of the whole thing is that they are just trying to get more money from people. You know what I mean? Like the abilities are less if you buy a better team. You need this ability to counter this ability, and it's really really tough, Trey. Like it's really really tough on the game of Madden, especially for people who don't have tons of money.
I think what it is, Shane, is just they're just saying because you had pre-lits. You didn't have pre-lits because Shane he wasn't playing Madden after the tournament season back in Madden 2021 when you had to put up with the Eric Dickerson pre-lit and all that. But what they have now is just ridiculous. Like how are you going to explain to me that if this guy has an X factor and I sack him, he should still be lit? Like that just blows my mind about how you can justify doing that. But I think the conclusion that I came to is that how the whole argument about every kid gets a trophy. EA Sports is like, if you steal your mom's credit card or if you're rich enough to buy a team, then you get a trophy, and everyone that is unfortunate to be below your pay grade is gonna suffer. I think that's just the main conclusion that I came into. No money spent is a joke. I can't get into that at all. Okay.
No, you're definitely right on that, Trey. Like Rose said, like I think they did the whole pre-lit for Calvin Johnson and I believe it's on Plexico Burris is to cancel out the deep out KO or the deep KO because that is OP in the game too. I think they need to figure out like maybe I don't know, they need to figure out like where you have maybe only I don't know, three abilities for the game and you choose where you put them on offense and on defense. I'm not entirely sure. And like Rose said, I don't know if you knew this, Trey, but they had, and I didn't know it either, because I believe you're at work and Trey was in my, or I mean Rose was in my stream, and I was getting pre-lit to death, and I found out later by her and by AJ and a couple other people is that you could spend like I believe it was like $50 to buy pre-lit tokens that are on all the time or something like that. I mean that's really ridiculous if you think about it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, pre-lit all the time. Like you didn't do anything. You didn't score a touchdown. I have Omaha not pre-lit, but just a regular thing. You want to know how many times I got my Omaha to activate in a regular game, and I'm not saying I'm like a great Madden player or nothing, but however many games I've played in Madden 200, I've probably only got it to lit up twice, three times. Meanwhile, these guys can come in and they can be pre-lit the whole game when they don't do anything. How is that fair? Like you, even in the slightest. But hopefully, hopefully it's not a sign of things to come. But I think we're definitely stuck in this whole thing. So Shane, I'm thinking that we need to go out and try to plan a heist about how to get some money, try to rob a bank or something so that we're able to compete against these guys spending money. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it's wild, bro, because I'm spending money and my team's not even close to some of the guys that are like 96 overall or 97. I mean, they have like the cornerbacks on sale for like 2 million or whatever. Like they can afford that. To me, that is got to be the wildest thing that I've ever seen in my life. And yes, see, Rose is right. Hey Trey, she said don't out yourself for racketeering. I think I said it, racketeering. There we go. I said the word. She is right. We're just joking, feds, right, Trey? We're joking.
Yeah, we're joking. We're joking. We're gonna figure out another way to get the money that doesn't involve criminally. I mean, Shane, you might have to start an OnlyFans account, but you
Oh
know,
yeah,
that's what. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, we're talking about the whole depot and the counter. EA does this a lot. They see a problem, they don't fix the problem. They're just like, they put duct tape on it and they say, here you go. Like, the whole KO abilities knocking out passes, that's just a cover up for them saying they can't get zones or man coverage to defensive properly. So anytime you get hit by a corner, you're going to drop the ball. So, obviously, we can go on complaining about Madden and, Ultimate Team for a while, but always good to get that in there. So, Shane, I know you've been on your grind streaming recently, and do you have any updates on what you're going to be doing going forward? What are you excited about in the future going forward with your streams? Are you going to be doing more tournaments in the future and all that stuff? Oh.
I'm sorry, bro. I just read what Rose said. She said, "Show them toes." LOL. She said, "I was already ahead of you, Trey." He says, "By becoming a paid channel member, you get private videos." Oh, I need to change that up. I meant, y'all know what I meant. Like you get to see the videos that I don't put on normal YouTube, like tip videos, like tips, like how to do something funny. No, I'm gonna be just streaming a lot, Trey. This year I won't be doing tournaments, but besides the crew versus crew, but starting next year, how everything is going is next year I will be on that money grind again, like I used to be pre Madden 2021. You remember that, Trey, where I used to play money games all the time. So I will be doing a hell of a lot more money games next year and a hell of a lot of tournaments next year from Gamer Saloon and Players Lounge.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you've been telling me about that, and I wasn't sure if I should bring that up because I know you've kind of had issues with the IRS or whatever. So obviously, that's going to be pretty excited to get you back into the whole money sphere of things. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I've also been doing a little bit of streaming myself on Players Lounge, so give me a subscription if you want. My name is Trey is Raw on YouTube, and we'll get that cracking as well. Going to be making videos and all that stuff as well, so I got some stuff cooked up, and yeah, just going to be keep grinding. So I guess with all that being said, I want to send a shout out to Rose. She's always in here supporting the podcast, so I appreciate you with that. And I think as far as this edition of the podcast, I don't really have too much to say other than we appreciate the support. Definitely be checking out Shane Guy 11. He's going to be posting tip videos. He's going to be doing patch notes and all that. There's also going to be some stuff in the works with the website and tip videos. Hopefully it works better than last time with that whole thing. So yeah, I guess that's it for me, and I'll throw it over to Shane to close us out, or if he wants anything else he wants to add before we get out of here.
Um, Appreciate it. So like Rose said, we should start a GoFundMe. Please help. Mutt is not cheap, and I don't want to lose the sweats. Yo, that might work. Please, sir, can I have some more? No, but yeah, go check out Trey. He posted his link, or I mean, he said his link. So go check out and sub to Trey. We will be back, I believe, on the 1st of March, because I believe there's only 28 days in February. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I appreciate everybody being in here. Rose, I appreciate it. 29 days. Okay, 29 days in February. Thanks, Corey Plays Game 255. I appreciate the 6 people that were in here, lurking, listening. Shout out to Rose for always being in here and chatting. I will be back Monday on the stream. Also, go check out Trey's channel on YouTube and hit the subscribe there. So, for Trey, I'm Shane. This was the West Coast Podcast.